NATO hits 2% defense spending target. Trump orders Pentagon to deter Russia and China. Slovakia moves closer to Russia despite EU sanctions, praising stable gas supplies. Meanwhile, Brussels cracks down on loopholes in Russian gas sanctions. We will tell you more in this episode, so you'll be in focus. Stay with us for the latest updates and exclusive reports. For the first time, all NATO members have met the minimum defense spending target of 2% of GDP, a benchmark set back in 2014. Leading the list is Poland with 4.48, followed by the Baltic states, Lithuania 4%, Latvia around 4%, and Estonia around 3.5%. And Norway, another country bordering with Russia, is fifth with 3.35%. The US spends 3.22%. And about Ukraine in NATO, speaking in Brussels, Estonian President Alar Karis emphasized that Ukraine's membership would make NATO stronger and Europe safer. In contrast, Vladimir Putin claimed that Russia has never intended to attack anyone, insisting the Kremlin is merely defending its interests and blaming others for aggression. Meanwhile, US President Donald Trump has ordered the Pentagon to take action to deter both Russia and China. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth stated that the US does not seek conflict, but must be ready to prevent one. Watch more in our report.
The world must choose between war and peace, declared Chinese President Xi Jinping at a military parade in Beijing. The event marked the 81st anniversary of Japan's surrender in World War II. Leaders from about 20 countries, including Putin and North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un, were present on the tribune. Xi emphasized that states must collectively maintain security and, in his words, eliminate the causes of conflicts. Notably, while calling for peace, Beijing speaks of war.
Today, humanity again faces a choice between peace and war, dialogue and confrontation, and win-win cooperation in zero-sum games. The Chinese people firmly stand on the right side of history and the progress of human civilization.
Under the guise of peace rhetoric, China continues to arm Russia. An investigation by The Telegraph revealed that Beijing supplied Russia with components for drone production worth tens of millions of pounds. A quarter of this amount went to infrastructure in the Alabuga Special Economic Zone, where kamikaze drones Geran are assembled, used by the Russian army to attack Ukrainian cities. According to journalists, 97 Chinese companies shipped aircraft engines, chips, alloys, optics, and dual-use materials to Russia, disguised as civilian exports. Direct evidence of China's involvement was provided by military radio technology specialist and consultant Serhiy Beskresnov, who found a camera in a Russian drone containing test footage from a Chinese factory showing equipment being tested on passing cars.
Chinese companies directly supplied parts and materials worth at least 47 million pounds to Russian firms sanctioned for producing drones from 2023 to 2024, a period when Moscow was building large-scale logistics infrastructure for its domestic drone program, from a publication by The Telegraph.
Unlike China, North Korea supports Russia openly. According to South Korea's Yonhap agency, from 2023 to 2025, Pyongyang sent Russia approximately 28,000 containers of weapons and ammunition, equating to about 12 million 152mm artillery shells. In addition to weapons, North Korea provided manpower, around 15,000 soldiers. South Korean intelligence claims 2,000 of them have already died in Russia's war against Ukraine. In Beijing, the two dictators, Kim Jong-un and Putin, discussed further plans. Notably, Pyongyang confirmed its readiness to continue providing military assistance to Moscow.
As I mentioned to you during our previous meeting, if there is any way we can assist Russia, we will certainly do it as a fraternal duty. We will spare no effort in providing help to Russia.
Washington's reaction to the Beijing parade and Putin's talks with Kim Jong-un was swift. U.S. President Donald Trump accused them of conspiring against America.
May President Xi and the wonderful people of China have a great and lasting day of celebration. Please give my warmest regards to Vladimir Putin and Kim Jong-un as you conspire against the United States of America. Donald Trump, President of the United States, on Truth Social. In principle, these are entities of geopolitical confrontation. In fact, in the U.S. national security doctrine, China is listed as the main geopolitical opponent. And notably, after Russia's full-scale attack on Ukraine, the Russian Federation was added as well. So why, in fact, should they not conspire against the United States?
The White House chief instructed the Pentagon to strengthen the military. U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth stated that Washington does not seek conflict with China, but stressed that the armed forces must be prepared to prevent it.
President Trump charged us at the Defense Department to rebuild our military and reestablish deterrence. Not because we seek conflict, we do not, and we've been clear with China and Russia. By being prepared, you prevent it and ensure the American people on the homeland are safe, and demonstrations of parade are fine. They don't manifest in military conflict. We know what they believe and what they are about, and know how strong we are and military advantages we have. They know that also. Our jobs to maintain those military advantages in space, sky, and the sea, under the sea, and long-range fires, all capabilities we have.
For Washington, the alliance of Moscow, Beijing, and Pyongyang is no surprise. All three regimes have long been viewed as direct adversaries of the United States. Therefore, analysts believe that statements by Donald Trump and the Pentagon chief are more a statement of fact than an announcement of a new U.S. administration policy. Reported by Nikita Skoblikov, UATV News.
Slovak Prime Minister Robert Fico has announced his intention to normalize relations with Russia and thanked Moscow for the stable gas supplies delivered through the Turk Stream pipeline. He made the statement during a meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin on the sidelines of events in China, Reuters reports. Fico emphasized that Slovakia is extremely interested in restoring economic cooperation with Russia, despite the European Union's broader policy of phasing out Russian energy imports. The EU has pledged to end all imports of Russian oil and gas by 2027 in response to the war in Ukraine. However, Slovakia and Hungary continue to maintain energy ties with Russia, citing concerns over rising prices and energy security. Meanwhile, in Brussels, new strict rules for gas importers are being discussed. Their goal is to close loopholes used to supply Russian fuel in circumvention of sanctions. Valeria Nikipelova has the details.
Denmark, currently presiding over the EU, has proposed introducing strict new restrictions for gas importers in Europe. According to the proposal, companies supplying fuel to the European market must prove it is not of Russian origin. Particular attention is focused on the Turk Stream pipeline, the only route through which Russia currently exports pipeline gas to the EU. These supplies are intended for only a few countries, such as Hungary and Slovakia. A fragment of the Danish initiative was published by Bloomberg.
Natural gas entering the Union through borders or interconnection points between the Union and Russia or Belarus and through the interconnection point Stranja 2, Malkaklar, Turk Stream, shall be presumed to be exported directly or indirectly from the Russian Federation, unless unambiguous evidence is provided to the contrary from a publication by Bloomberg.
The EU also purchases liquefied natural gas from Russia, delivered by sea on specialized gas carriers. To allow Russian fuel to enter EU countries despite sanctions, suppliers use the following scheme. LNG from the aggressor country is delivered to European ports, where it is mixed with gas imported from other countries. Nominally, this fuel is no longer considered Russian. This is the loophole Denmark proposes to close by requiring importers to provide documented proof of the gas's origin.
The proposed changes underscore concern that Russian gas could still find its way into the EU market after a ban takes place. Tracking exactly where gas has been produced is extremely difficult, especially when it gets frequently blended with other supplies on its way to the final consumer. The move would rule out future swap deals that substitute non-Russian shipments for supply from Moscow, from a publication by Bloomberg.
Copenhagen's proposal is one of the steps toward Europe's complete phase-out of Russian gas. Brussels plans to halt supplies under all short-term contracts lasting less than 1 year, with possible exemptions for Hungary and Slovakia. A ban on supplies under long-term contracts is set to take effect by the end of 2027. These dates are not yet final and still require agreement.
The European Parliament will vote in the autumn to confirm its position for negotiations with EU countries on the ban. The final measures need approval from the Parliament and a qualified majority of EU countries, meaning that they cannot be blocked by EU members, Hungary and Slovakia, which still import Russian gas via pipeline and have opposed the EU plans, from a publication by Reuters.
For decades, Russian gas met nearly half of Europe's needs. This energy dependence was a lever of political pressure for the Kremlin, but after Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine in 2022, it became a weapon. Europe began seeking alternative suppliers, including Norway, the United States, and Qatar. The share of Russian gas in imports dropped from 40% to 15%. However, despite significant progress, Russian supplies have recently begun to rise again, primarily due to liquefied natural gas.
The European Union imported 4.48 billion euros worth of Russian liquefied natural gas, LNG, in the first 6 months of the year, compared with 3.47 billion euros in the same period last year. Europe's LNG imports amounted to 26.9 billion euros in the first half of the year, including around 13.7 billion euros from the United States, which remains by far the bloc's largest supplier, from a message by Eurostat.
Despite the increase in LNG export revenues, the overall situation for Gazprom and the Russian economy remains challenging. The loss of the main European pipeline gas market has dealt a severe blow to the Kremlin's revenues. The company has been unable to compensate for these volumes with supplies to other regions and is now forced to sell gas at a significant discount, losing tens of billions of dollars just to maintain supplies. The complete loss of the European market will be a critical moment for Russia's influence on global energy markets and will deliver a colossal blow to the aggressor country's economy. Reported by Valeria Nekipolova, UATV News.
What's your take on all of this? Share it with us below. This is UATV. Stay sharp, in focus, and stay safe.